my people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for my August TBR. The first book on this list is called Phoenix Flight. For those who don't know, this book comes out the 2nd of August, and it's a Ravenfall fantasy sequel, and it's the 3rd book in this series. I'm not sure exactly how many books the author has planned for this series, so I don't know if she's ending it with this book, or if she's continuing it. But anyway, I'm so excited to read this book, because the first 2 books in this series were so good. This series is set in a world where everybody is born with wings, and depending on which wings you have, you're sorted into a certain clan, and each clan is like sorted into like a hierarchy, if that makes any sense. So like there are some people from like a lower hierarchy than others. So I don't know if that makes any sense at all, and like if you haven't read the books, then you don't know what I'm talking about, but I would highly recommend the first 2 books in the series because they were so good. Anyway, I'm so excited for this book because it sounds so awesome and so cool, and I love these characters so much, and the 2nd book in this trilogy was so awesome when I read it in the first half of this year. So anyway, with all of that said, this book comes out at the very beginning of this month, and I'm so excited for it. The 2nd book on this list also comes out on the 2nd of August, and it's called Wild is the Witch. This book is a YA urban fantasy contemporary, and it's written by the same author who wrote The Nature of Witches last year, which I really enjoyed, so naturally I have very, very high expectations for this book. If I'm not mistaken, it follows a young witch who teams up with somebody who doesn't like witches for some reason, and I don't remember why, but I love it when main characters team up with somebody unlikely because they both have a common goal. So I'm very excited to see what the main character is getting out of this new partnership. Also, I suspect the romance will be enemies to lovers, which I typically don't like, but I trust this author with anything because her debut was literally so good and so awesome. Her world building in The Nature of Witches was literally so good, and I really enjoyed it. So anyway, with that said, I have such high expectations for this book, and like I said, it comes out the 2nd of August, so I'm really looking forward to it. The next book on this list also comes out the 2nd of August, and it's The Feeling of Falling in Love, which I'm sure everyone else also has on their August TBR, because this author, if you didn't know, previously wrote I Wish You All the Best and The Ghost We Keep, both of which were really good. So naturally, I'm so excited for this book. It's a YA contemporary, and I don't know actually much about it, except that it features a T-for-T romance, which, if you didn't know, means that both the main character and their love interest are transgender. I don't think I've ever read before a T-for-T book, because the majority of books I've read with transgender main characters, their love interest, if they have one, happens to be cisgender. So, yeah, I'm so excited to read this book, not just for the representation, but also like the story sounds so awesome. Again, I'm not quite sure what the story is actually about, but I trust that Mason Deaver can do the impossible and convince me to like fall in love with it. This story will definitely be a 4-star, if not 4.5, or maybe even a 5-star, because like I mentioned, Mason Deaver is literally so talented, and their previous books were so amazing, and absolutely so well done. So anyway, also, I think this book might incorporate fake dating, if I'm not mistaken, which is a trope that I'm starting to really enjoy. Anyway, I digress. I'm so excited to read this book. It comes out the 2nd of August, and I'm really looking forward to it. The next book on this list comes out the following week, the 9th of August, and it's called Bloodlike Fate. For those who don't know, this book is a YA urban fantasy sequel to Bloodlike Magic, which is one of my 5-star favorites of this year, so naturally I have very, very high expectations for this sequel. Bloodlike Magic was such an unexpected 5-star read, because first of all, the first time I read it, I actually DNF'd it, so I wasn't expecting to rate it 5 stars the second time, and second of all, urban fantasy is a genre that I'm starting to enjoy a lot more than I did a few years ago, because it used to be one of my least favorite subgenres of fantasy for some reason. But anyway, I'm so glad that I enjoyed it, because, like, the story was so good. It was absolutely so awesome. And I have no idea what to expect in the sequel, but I know and I trust that the author will do such an amazing job, because the first book was so good. It was absolutely so awesome, with the characters, with the romance, with the plot, with the world building, with the family dynamics, with the science fiction fantasy element. I mean, come on, it was so awesome. So anyway, with all that said, this book comes out the 9th of August, and I'm really looking forward to it. The next book on this list is called Homebound. For those who don't know, this book comes out the 23rd of August, and it's a middle-grade science fiction sequel to Stowaway, which I read at the beginning of this year in March, and it was absolutely so good, especially in the world building and the characters and the plot, and basically everything about it. I really enjoyed it, so naturally I have very, very high expectations for this book. I don't typically enjoy science fiction as a genre, but Stowaway was so good, and it was absolutely so immersive, and it just kept me guessing at every single step of the way, which I very, very appreciated, because that means that I just absolutely fell in love with the story and with the characters and with everything. So anyway, I have no idea what to expect with this sequel. I'm assuming the main character is heading home, but I don't really know what that means. You know what I mean? Given the context of the first book, and I know it doesn't make any sense if you haven't read the first book. But anyway, this author is so talented, and I believe that Stowaway was their science fiction debut, because I've only read middle-grade contemporaries by them in the past. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to the sequel, and it comes out the 23rd of August, and I'm so excited to read it. The next book on this list is called A Taste of Magic. For those who don't know, this book is a middle-grade urban fantasy, and it comes out the 30th of August, and I'm really excited for it. This author previously wrote The Wings of Ebony duology, and this book, if I'm not mistaken, is her middle-grade debut, and I'm so excited for it, because I believe the story incorporates an academic setting, which you guys all know I love. I love reading about magical, fantastical schools, because I think that they're so fascinating, and this book will be paralleling to when I'm in school, since the 30th of August, if I'm not mistaken, is near the second or third week that I'll be in school, for my senior year of college. But anyway, this book sounds like it's going to be so cool and absolutely so awesome. I love reading middle-grade fantasies, especially with an academic setting and a black main character. We love to see it. Anyway, with all that said, this book comes out the 30th of August, and I'm really, really excited for it, as you can probably tell. The next book on this list is called Ravenfall. For those who don't know, this book is another middle-grade fantasy that comes out the 30th of August, and it's written by the same author who previously wrote the Stormcloak duology, which was YA fantasy. So I think that this book is her middle-grade debut, which I love, because I love it when authors of a previous genre or audience try out a new genre or audience, because it means that I already trust them with their writing. Anyway, this book sounds like it's going to be so good and so awesome, although if I'm honest, I don't quite remember the synopsis of this book, because with my monthly TBR videos, I don't usually remember the synopsis before I'm filming, and instead, I focus on my excitement for each book, which I know can get pretty repetitive and pretty redundant. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to this book, because I love reading middle-grade fantasies, and second of all, I think this story focuses on a pair of unlikely allies who team up because they have a common ground, and I love that trope so much. So anyway, with all that said, this book comes out the 30th of August, and I'm really excited for it. So, in conclusion, that's my August TBR. All of these books are written by authors that I'm already familiar with, either because they're sequels or because I've read a book previously by that author. So with that said, I have really high hopes for this month as a really great reading month. So anyway, with all that said, if you enjoy this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the sunflower emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!